Sure, I give you a story time as I sit here and sip on my bone broth. So early in 2023, I went to urgent care complaining of stomach pain, pelvic pain, and they did a x-ray, I believe, either CAT scan or x-ray, but I really want to say it was an x-ray. The x-ray showed multiple lesions, but the doctor said it was nothing to be concerned with. There were lesions that were very common. A lot of people have them, so that's what I did. I went on my way, not being concerned. One day I was talking to someone, telling them about the findings, and they were like, Precious, I don't know about that. You probably should get a second opinion. So I called my gastro doctor to schedule an appointment, and the earliest that they could get me in wasn't until August. Mind you, we were in, I want to say like April, May. So I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting for my appointment. August shows up finally, and guess what? I couldn't make the appointment. Because a hurricane was projected to hit the area, and I received a mandatory evacuation. Hurricane Idalia was headed towards us, and with the storm surges they were predicting, we were getting out of there. So the days leading up to landfall was so crazy, so hectic. People were trying to get gas. A lot of businesses were closing to prepare. I can't even remember if the doctor's office had stopped seeing patients or not. Yeah, everybody was just trying to prepare for this hurricane. So after Dahlia makes landfall, and then everybody finally gets back to normal routine, I called the gastro doctor back up to reschedule the appointment, explain to them why I wasn't able to make the last one. Do you know I wasn't able to get in to see the doctor now until December. So December finally rolls around. Days leading up to my appointment, I said, I do not care what happens. I am not missing this appointment. I get in with the doctor, and you will not believe what he tells me. He had this attitude like, why are you even here? He goes on to say, there's nothing wrong with your liver. The reason he was saying this was because the report that came from the urgent care, on the top part of the report, it said that my liver was normal. And then on the bottom part of the report, within the report where they do the actual assessment, it goes on to talk about the lesions. So I responded to him and said, listen, I'm just going off of what this report said. The report says that I have lesions. So he's like, where does that say that? So I grabbed the report, pointed it out, and I knew exactly where to go because I had read my report. So this is so important to advocate, know what's going on, understand your reports, understand how to read those reports. It's your body. You have to be your best advocate for yourself. So I politely showed him on the report where it said that I had lesions. So immediately his whole attitude changed, and he proceeded to examine me and said that he was going to have an MRI scheduled. I got the MRI that month, and when it came back, just like the urgent care discovered, I did have multiple lesions. With the lesions that I had, there was one that was concerning to my gastro doctor, so he wanted me to repeat the MRI in 3 months. So the end of March, I did another MRI. Same thing, MRI comes back, multiple lesions, but that one lesion concerning to now the radiologist in his report, and I guess they're called radiologists, it's the ones that read the MRI. He said that they couldn't rule out, it was a lot of stuff that was said, but the bottom line was there was a lesion that could not be ruled out as early HCC. So I do what I always do whenever I get my reports. I went to Googling to find out what all of this stuff, means on my report. And that's when I discovered HCC is cancer. So I'm like, immediately broke down and said, no, 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 no. Now this was all before my doctor, called to go over my results. So as I said in the video, that could be a double-edged sword, having access to your reports before you talk to the doctor. So I have this information now, and I'm reeling, having experiencing all types of emotions. And doctor finally called and confirmed what I had Googled. So the next thing they tell me to do is to go and have a tumor test done. So his nurse called me up and said that they needed me to go and get the tumor test. Now, I didn't say this, but it took some days for them to call me and confirm that report. So for days, I was holding on to this information and was losing my mind. So I was a mess waiting for the report to come back from this tumor test. So tumor test comes back and it is in normal range. So I'm like immediately overjoyed. My gastro doctor, his nurse, I think they were, a little worried too, because when it came back in normal range, they were like good for you kind of attitude, they excited. So he still wanted to refer me to a liver specialist at this point, because I guess I got too much going on with my liver that they've done all that they could do. So they referred me to a liver specialist. So I'm waiting to get in with the liver specialist. It took a long time for them to call me, because it's a special way. It's not like, any other doctor where you can just call and get an appointment. Your referring doctor has to send over your records, and then they have to review your file and make sure you're a good candidate, and I guess pair you up with the right doctor. So it's a long process. So I'm sitting there waiting, but I was no longer worried because of that tumor test coming back in normal range. So what I forgot to mention was, right at the time I found all of this stuff out about the HCC and when they had me to go get the tumor test, it was right when when we released the Love Factory radio. So when I was going through those emotions, I'm gonna be honest with you, one of the biggest things that got me through that time was music. Music is so healing. It is so healing. And I remember doing one of my breakdowns, because I was breaking down a lot leading up to finding out, before I got a tumor test. I was having a lot of breakdowns, and I remember doing one of my breakdowns, a song came on, and before I knew it, I had stopped crying and started singing and dancing. And at that moment, I realized how healing music is. This actually went longer than I expected, so jump over. I'm gonna do a part 2 and tell you about when I got in with the liver specialist. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested in hearing part 2, don't forget to click subscribe to be notified when it's released.